4th and goal to go to 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Here is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
All right. So this leads me to this here. Now, I was doing a little bit of digging and diving and all that stuff. And preseason wins doesn't necessarily mean regular season wins. Of course, we all know that, right? Of course, we know that. That is a picture right here, I believe. This is from the 73 season, which it very well could be. This is not the 71 season because 71 Ron Johnson was injured. But in this bright sunlight here, this looks like it could be the 70 or 73 season. 72, I think, wasn't quite this bright, I don't think, when the Giants beat so this is the 73 game right here. This is the 73 game season where the Giants played the Eagles at home. This is the last game the Giants ever played at Yankee Stadium. But anyway, the 73 season, okay, it brings me to, my biggest point right here, which also we kind of like piggyback a little bit off of, talking about this past preseason, right? How the Giants, of course, went 3-0. They scored over 30 points. And actually, I went back to 2000. I didn't go back to 1925. I mean, I'll tell you, in 1925, the Giants played 2 games before the regular season. They won 3-0. Okay, and then they won 26-0. So that I can tell you, they didn't score 30 points there in 1925. But I just went back to 2000. Okay, from 2000 to this year, there was only one other year that the Giants scored 30 points or more, I believe. Unless it might have been the 2019 season. They might have scored 30 points all 3 of the 4 games or 2. And the 2019 season, they were undefeated as well too. Okay, I'm going to show you this in just a minute. 2006, they won all their games, right? In preseason, of course, they went to the playoffs, right? But of course, didn't get out of the first round. 2014, they won all their games in preseason. They were 4-0. Of course, we know they didn't go to playoffs in 2014. But my biggest thing, especially with that thumbnail, okay, is that's like my favorite one of all time, because in 1973, the Giants finished. Back then, they played 6 preseason games, right? So the Giants in 1973 were 6-0, and because in 1970 we were 9-5, 1971, 1972 we were 8-6. So we 1973 we go 6-0 in preseason after we went 8-6 in 72, and I'm thinking, we got a good team this year. Because you figure in 72, the Giants lost 6 games. Well, 4 of their 6 losses were teams that went to championship games. 3 of their 6 losses were teams that went to the Super Bowl. They lost twice to the Redskins. They lost once to the Dolphins. The championship, 4 of their 6 losses were teams that went to the championship game. They lost once to the Cowboys, twice to the Redskins, because they were called the Redskins back then. Sorry if I offend anybody by saying Redskins. And then, of course, they lost to the Dolphins 23-13 in Week 13. So 4 of their 6 losses were to a really good team. Actually, all their losses were. They lost to the Bengals, I think, who finished 8-6. They lost 13-10. Then they lost opening day to the Detroit Lions 30-16, I think it was. And the Lions had a good team that year too. So they were 8-6. They had a tough schedule. Right. They finished, but I said in 73, they started the preseason 6-0. I'm like, oh, man, here we go, baby. Now, of course, they won the first game of the year in 73. They beat the Houston Oilers 34-14. They were up 27-0 at halftime. The first game of the season. I'm like, oh, man. Super Bowl, baby. Then the thumbnail, okay, is the final game. Giants tied the Eagles Final play of the game, Pete Gogolak comes running on the field as time is expiring. Basically, as the time runs off the clock, the ball gets snapped back, ball gets put down, Pete Gogolak kicks the field goal, the Giants tie the Eagles 23-23 in the final game they ever played in Yankee Stadium. So the Giants are 6-0 in preseason. They start the regular season 1-0-1. I'm like, all right, baby. Okay. If the game was like another minute longer, so the Giants were down around like the Eagles' 10-yard line. They didn't have any timeouts left, and the clock was running. So they couldn't, there was, I don't know, there was under 20 seconds. I think Snead completed a pass to Bob Tucker down around the 10-yard line, somewhere around there. And they had no timeouts. Well, got tackled inbound. Clock was running. They had to run Pete Gogolak on the field, run the offense. Right, so, but if it was still like a minute or so left to go in the game, possibly the Giants throw a touch and they might win that game. But anyway, it is what it is. But so the Giants started 1-0-1 in regular season 1973, and of course 6-0 in the preseason. And then of course they finished the season 2-11-1. So they went 1-11 in their final 12 games of the season. Nothing, so, obviously wins don't mean diddly, right? You got to show me the money, right? But if I share my screen, I'll show you those couple of seasons I was talking about here. Sharing the screen. Right, I gotta, once again, to find this here. There we go. All right, this is the 2014 season right here. I'll show you that. The Giants, of course, they were 4-0, right? Were they 5-0? 5-0. 5-0? 5-0. Oh, okay. They played the Canton game. They played a Hall of Fame game. Say, Fawcett Stadium, Canton, Ohio. They beat the Bills 17-13. But if you see here, right, all 5 games, they won 16-13, 35-24, 27-26, 20-16, and 17-13. So they were 5-0 in preseason, right? They scored over 30 points once, okay? And then, of course, then we know they went up third. They were in third place, and they went up 6-10. So they 5-0 preseason. They finished 6-10, right? Let me go back to 2006. Yeah, I got to go back. It's 2006. I since went started 2000. I didn't go to the 90s or the 80s or nothing like that. I always go back to like the 1973 season because they were 6-0 in preseason, and then they absolutely sucked in the regular season. All right, so here we go. Like 2006 with Tom Coughlin, right? They won all these games, right? They lost their first game of the season, right? The Manning Bowl, right? They lost 26-21 to the brother, right? I guess this is probably the first Manning Bowl, right? First game of the season, East Rutherford, right? But, it's here, right? We scored over 30 points one time, right? But we won all of our 4 of our regular season games, preseason games, I'm sorry. 17-16, 17-0, 13-7, 31-23, right? But, this is 2006. Now, to be fair, 2006, the Giants, they go to the playoffs, right? They were 8-8, went to the playoffs, and they lost in the first round to the Beagles, to the Philadelphia Scumbags. So, once again, they were 4-0, actually made the playoffs, but they were only 8-8. They were not like any type of juggernaut team or nothing like that, okay? So that's 2006. Then if I go to next season, I'll go up to 2019. Oh, well, hold on. Seasons, 2019. Bam. All right, so the Giants in 2019 finished 4-12, okay? But in preseason, they did really good, right? Here we go. Yeah, it was. They scored. They were right? Yeah, first game they lost to the Cowboys. But in the preseason they were 4-0, and this is the only time since 2000 that I noticed, right, that they scored over 30 points in 3 games. Now the Giants this year, of course, played 3 preseason games. We scored over 40 once, but in all 3 of them we scored over 30 points. So we scored 30 out of 3 games. Here they scored 30 points, but it took 4 games. But even still, they beat the Bengals, but they scored 25 points. But, I mean, this is the only time since 2000 that the Giants actually scored more than 30 points in 3 preseason games. They said they were 4-0. They won all of them. The defense, as you see, is not really phenomenal. They gave up 22 there, 23 there, and 29 there. Okay. But, once again, same thing as this year. We were undefeated 2019 in preseason, undefeated in 2025 preseason. We scored over 30 points in 3 games in 2019. We scored over 30 points in 3 games in 2025. Now, what 2025 has in store for us, who knows? But we do, as I said, once again, I do know that in 4-0 in preseason, scored a lot of points in preseason like we did this year, and we won a 4-12 in 2019. So once again, wins and points and all that in the preseason does not mean, right? Then I'm going to go to my final 2 ones here. I'll just show you. One of them is I'm going to show you 71. We actually were 0-6 in 71. And that actually translated to the regular season. Because, organized. What the heck? There we go. See, we won a 4-10, right? So we stunk. Our defense was really bad that year. Really, really bad. But you'll notice here, I mean, right? We actually won the first game of the season, 42-40, but we gave up a lot of points. Then we came home. We faced George Allen, his second game ever. He was coaching with the Redskins, but the first time that George Allen was coaching the Redskins, that we faced him at home, Yankee Stadium. He came in and beat us 30-3. So the Giants defense gave up 70 points after the first 2 games. I mean, the defense was just horrible that year. Absolutely atrocious that year. But you'll notice here in the preseason, we were even worse, right? We lost all 6 games in the preseason, okay? 20-3, 30-7, 26-14, 27-14, 20-14, and 30. Somehow we lost 35-6 to the Houston Oilers, who were not very good back then. 35-6. We lost 20-3, 30-7. I mean, we're just horrible. Absolutely atrocious. In 1971, we were 0-6 in the preseason, and of course, we were, we went a 4-10 in the regular season. All right, but let me show you. And let me see, 2 seasons here. 19. All right, here we go. 1973. Here we go. The Giants were 6-0 in preseason. Right. Okay. We beat the Browns 21-10. We beat the Eagles 42-21. We beat the Steelers 29-24. Beat the Jets 45-30. And we actually 2 of the games, right? We scored over 40 points. I mean, we beat the Patriots 13-7, and we opened up against played out in San Diego. We beat the Chargers, who were not very good back then either. Beat them 28-3 in 1973. Okay. So the Giants started off, we're 6-0 in preseason. 6-0. Then, of course, then you go, as I said here, right? After the first 2 weeks, we beat the Houston Oilers 34-14, and then our last second field goal by Pete Goglak, we tied the Eagles 23-23. So we started the season 1-0-1. So after the first 8 games, 6 preseason, 2 regular season, we were 7-0. We played 8 games. We didn't lose any. 7-0-1. But of course, as you see here, the rest of the season here, right? That's the rest of the season right there. My bad. We beat the Cardinals. And it's the only win that we won in the Yale Bowl. We played 12 games. Yale Bowl became our home. Played 12 home games in the Yale Bowl. We only won 1 game. That was against the Cardinals, 24-13. But that was the only win we had the whole rest of the season. We lost 12-10, 16-14. I mean, just horrible. 42-0 to the Raiders. We lost 31-7. We lost on Monday night. We lost to the Rams 40-6. We lost the last 2 games of the season, 71-13. Throw in the 42-0 drubbing we had to the Cowboys, right? And that was what? I don't know, was it 113 to 13? Is that right? We lost 113 13-13 in those 3 games. I mean, we were horrible in 1973. But once again, as I said, just because, right, you have success in the preseason doesn't necessarily, translate to success in the regular season. Okay, even though we were 3-0, we scored points. So it's you got to show me, right? The one nice thing was that except for like maybe the Buffalo game, our second string defense and all that, we were giving up points. The Buffalo was kind of moving the ball up and down the field. But the last 2 games, our second, third string defense didn't look too bad. Of course, our offense was really, really good. Okay. But against the Jets and the Patriots, our second, third string defense didn't look too bad. The Buffalo game was a little suspect, but once again, it's a whole new ball game, right? Once Sunday rolls around.